Oh,
That's
So
a
like-
good work with my schedule. And it sounds wonderful.
it is good class. I think it's an awesome
6 hour class
Are you kind of stretching or
On
kind of
Saturdays?
question? Okay, I think I'm done.
on Tuesday.
Tucker.
I have a fall question, is it too soon?
Well, it depends on the question, but go ahead. I don't know all the schedules yet.
Okay, I just am mostly wondering if Reflect Pro Pract is, guide proof on the purple sheet?
Yes, let's
So
talk
we're
more.
actually we're going to campus for that 1 hour.
Yes.
And then also, the MAT or the 2 3s with the 527 A and B, those are taken concurrently.
Yes, let's talk about, I'm gonna move towards fall on this sheet, so hold that thought.
Okay.
Are there any other questions about summer? Does this make sense?
Yeah.
So you don't have to hold to this, because I won't actually write down your name, but I'm just curious. How many at this point are in their gut think that they would like to take the 8-week Wednesday night class?
That's in the summer?
In the summer?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
8 weeks.
Okay.
1, 2.
Like maybe.
Yeah.
I don't-
Yeah.
It has to move in June.
Oh, bummer.
I don't want to do the 8 week.
Yeah, you should tell us when you're moving, well, I'll help you. He'll bring like potatoes or what's in that?
Gravy.
Oh.
I tried to make gravy. I don't know how it's gonna be.
Okay, so I will guess then that the other, so I saw hands of maybe 8 or 10 people. So some of you are, how many for sure would rather take the full time? I mean, the
Tuesday, Thursday.
4 weeks intensive, so 1, 2,
It's
3,
Tuesday
4.
and Thursday?
Just so
Yeah.
I know for my class numbers, and I have a questionable people.
You guys are insane.
Actually, you're not a questionable person. You
For 4 weeks, dude, I'd rather do
Yeah.
that. Yeah, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's done. You don't have to hear it
And I
late
do
at night.
want to save me a box of those Thin Mints. I'll pay you.
Dude, you're insane.
Okay, so that's good for me to know.
It's only 8
We're
classes.
just curious about the times. It's a 4-hour class, so is that with an hour break?
Yeah, you said 9 to 2.
It's always up.
Yeah.
So
Give you a break.
Okay.
There's lunch in there. I don't give you lunch,
Oh.
but you give me lunch.
we pay for these classes. We don't even get lunch. No, I'm just kidding.
I know. You would think,
Right?
really.
Just have some snacks in the budget.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at bringing snacks.
Yeah, you Don't worry, we give you snacks.
This is good. No other summer questions. And I did mention that September experience when you sign up, and we'll give you sheets, registration sheets just like this, so you'll know when to sign up. But that September
Are you thinking
experience,
about the 4-week one?
you do sign up and pay for that in the summer, just for your budgetary standpoint.
I got time for that.
Okay, so then in the fall, see, the second CIA, so CIA, there's CIA A and B, okay? So in the fall, you would take the second version of CIA, and that is going to be an afternoon for the 2-year program, and for those people who took the first, well, basically, I guess it doesn't matter what you took in the fall, you're gonna take another CIA. If, and those classes are in the afternoon, they're from 1:30 to 4:30. And in addition, you will take special methods. And the special methods class that you're gonna take in the fall is, you take a special methods in the fall, and you'll see that you take one in the winter also. So for the 1-2s, and I kind of broke it down a little bit for you on this sheet, because I think it's always confusing and hopefully this is helpful. So for the 1-2s, you are just taking one special methods, and it's gonna be social studies in the arts. So it's learning how to teach about Lewis and Clark and weave in artistic things, and the arts are, music, dance, drama, photography. Oh, look how excited.
I just go at home.
Okay, good, yay, we can sing about Lewis and Clark.
Oh my God.
Good thing.
Lewis and
Yeah,
Clark.
hopefully. Hey, by the way, I just use that as an example, but if anybody ends up doing anything in Lewis and Clark, come and see me. I have so many Lewis and Clark materials. I designed a class once called Lewis and Clark Across the Curriculum. So you can learn science, math,
I played Clark once in a play,
Aw.
musical. It was fun. Yeah.
Were you really?
It's like the whole school wasn't special.
I used to play over in
That's
Trail.
special.
I wonder if-
I was a doctor in my group.
Really cool if it was the same in school. I like them. We're going.
Okay, social studies in the arts, so once you assess what you're taking, two and three, raise your hand if you're 2-3. And they are,
Well, read the link.
yeah. If you are in 2-3, you are taking 2 methods courses in the fall.
Oh,
One methods course will be social studies in the arts, so you'll be with your 1-2 buddies. The second course that you teach will vary with your endorsement area. So if you are language arts, you will be taking a methods course. I feel like I'm walking across the aisle or something into the land of 2-3 or something. The middle high people, the 3-4s, they're not here today, but they're teaching content in the middle and the high school levels. If you're a 2-3, the second class that you take is with the 3-4s. And if you're math, for example, that's probably going to be taught by maybe Francie Boswick or somebody in the math department who's also teaching the methods for the 3-4s. So you're in with the 3-4s. Social studies, Jessie often teaches social studies methods. She's awesome. Francie's awesome. Who do we have? Science is Stuart James.
social studies.
Social studies, Jessie.
No longer.
Language arts is often Margaret Perot or other people. Anyway, the faculty vary, but there are people who work in those departments often. Jessie doesn't, but she has a strong background in that area. So that's the scoop. The 3-4 you don't have to worry about, but they're only taking that methods. Classification, so that's what that looks like. Then on the bottom, and this gets back to, I think, Tucker's question. So what used to be called guide group is now called MAT 520, and we're calling it reflection and professional practice because we talk about your work samples and FTPA and all those kinds of things, your placements. It is 1 hour. It only meets once every other week. This is like FYI. It'll probably be on Thursday nights. It's from 4:30 to 6:30. And we talk about policy kinds of things. You also have separate guide group leaders who are your supervisors out in the schools, and you have chances to work in small groups of 4 or 5 people with them. So it's really kind of just pulling together. It's more a homeroom sort of thing, but it's really important. And then your fall practicum is 3 hours of credit, and that's what we talk to when you're out in the schools, at least 2 hours a day.
So in the fall, are 2-3s taking one more class than everyone else?
Yes.
That's
You
what's going
are.
on? So are you paying more money for
Yeah.
than everyone else?
You do. Good question. You are, but that endorsement, it's what you have to do to get that endorsement with an institutional recommendation. And then you will also need to take, you had a question about some testing, but you have to take, in order to be endorsed through SOU, with an institutional endorsement is what they say, so that when you get your license, they write on there that you're licensed to do it. You have to take a methods course and take the test and student teach in that level.
Okay.
This will be a different topic that I might just say for the 2-3s, but as you add extra endorsements, there's other little things that you can do. Tucker kind of follow up on the conversation that we had. But for right now, you're just going to focus on that one endorsement, but you do have to take one extra method class.
Okay.
In order to get it. It'll be worth it.
Can we take it during the summer? Sorry.
They're only offering the fall. Oh, wait, somebody's question was what time?
Yeah.
Was that class? The methods classes across campus, so this mostly applies to the 2-3s. Your second methods class is usually in the evening. And it's usually, they're usually like 4:30 to 7 or 7:20, whatever
That's twice a week.
once a week. Once a week. The exception of that is if Margaret Perot is teaching it, she likes to teach in the afternoon. So, yeah.
Everybody just do language arts.
Yeah, just everyone do language arts. I think I cut you off and then Tucker.
So, okay, so the CIA is 1:30 to 4:30 on Tuesdays and Thursdays? Or just 2 days a week or 1 day a week?
That's in
And
summer.
Tuesday, Thursday off.
That's in the summer.
In the fall.
In the fall,
Oh, sorry.
in
yeah,
the fall, we don't have our fall scheduled yet, so I don't know the exact dates for the fall. I do know that in the summer, it will be on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
But it's
Twice a week.
It is twice a week.
and 1:30 to 4:30. You think it's
Oh, I'm sorry. In the summer, it's 2 days a week. In the fall, your CIA meets 1 day a week.
is
It's
that
probably
during the
the
day or the evening?
It is during the day from 1:30 to 4:30.
But 1 day a week?
1 day a week.
And then is the special methods for the 1-2s, is that the same thing, 1:30 to 4:30, 1 day a week?
Yes, for the 1-2s, the special methods is 1 day a week and it's 1:30 to 4:30.
Okay.
And sometimes, for your added pleasure, I'm so sorry that we just don't have the fall schedules yet. I've seen drafts of them, but they're not official, and they keep changing. But what we try to do is we look at that schedule and we think, whoa, okay, we want them to come on Thursdays to guide group. Why don't we schedule the methods class on Thursday so they're already on campus? Makes for a long day for you, but we'd rather have a little bit of long day instead of having to come back and forth. Can't do it for everyone. Sometimes you have a class back to back like that, sometimes not, but we try our best to take advantage and think about your schedules. I should know by the next time we get together, I should know the fall schedule. It will probably not be publicized, but I should know it, so if you want to plan. It's nice to know for childcare and all kinds of things, so I'll let you know the minute I know. Thanks, Rick. Okay, so, and then again, for fall practicum, you're in your placement, the same placement you're in for September experience. You don't change schools. It's just in the fall, you're primarily there in the morning, and that's because primarily your classes are in the afternoon, but you'll have days you don't have class. So that's fall term. Does that make sense?
I'm so confused.
Tucker?
So is the other methods class that the 2-3s are taking, is that, extra? Like the 1-2s then have to take an elective? Or because of this 4-credit switch over, now it's just extra and that's like adds to the plus after that?
That is my understanding.
It's just a plus?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, in other words, you just come out with extra hours. It used to be that the 1-2s had to take an extra reading methods if they were working primarily with that lower group, but they are not doing that anymore. So, but you have language literacy, so it's where you get your skills.
So when you look at the pay scale on school districts and they say like MA plus 45, is that the 45? Awesome.
Do
It can
they
make you a lot of money.
have to pay us that rate? Like, or what if like, I mean, if there's someone who just has their master's versus someone who has their master's plus 45?
I used to think that you were more marketable if you didn't have all those extra hours, because if somebody came in without those extra hours, they would pay them. You're gonna be so marketable. There is such a demand for teachers that you're gonna be able to, not in a cocky way, but you're gonna be able to, that it's gonna be a good thing for you. Plus, go see that you're working in your professional development, that you're pursuing, because I just started, I've only taken 2 classes, but I'm working on my reading material. Or I've only taken this 1 class, but I'm working on my ESOL. So it makes you look, or maybe you're gonna take some extra classes because you wanna work with reluctant learners or at-risk students, so you can say, well, I'm trying to take any class I can get that would help me with that. It's not an endorsement, but you can talk that talk.
So what's the class, or do we take a class that's like about classroom management? Is that?
You do, it's called human relations.
That's human relations?
Yeah.
Okay.
You might want to make a note of that, because I always get people that say, gosh, when am I gonna learn classroom management? In some cases, they ask that question after they've had the class, and that's scary. But, please don't repeat that ever. But when you're taking human relations, and part of that is we're looking at students from a more holistic standpoint. How do you get to know them? What do you do? How are you using developmental approaches appropriately? And then you don't have management problems. But bottom line is you still need to learn how to manage your classroom. So that's fall. In the winter, you will take everybody takes 1 methods course for you, for the 1, 2s and the 2, 3s, you take the same one. And it is a STEM methods or science math methods. You don't have an option, the way my loading looks right now, you have to put up with me. There'll be a couple of sections of that, but I think I'm teaching both the 2-year folks and the 1-year. It is my passion. Other than being a curriculum nerd, I do enjoy teaching science and math methods. So that's what you do in the winter. Inclusion strategies is the other class that you'll be taking. And that's a class where you really do learn how to modify curriculum for a broad range of students with special needs, from gifted and talented beyond just a variety of diverse learners. You'll take guide group again and then half-day student teaching. So you're at the same placement in the winter, but you're there for a full half day. And that's when you do your first, it'll be during the winter that you do your first NTPA experience. Then in the spring, you only take one class. It's called Professional Leadership and Collaboration. If you see something this spring, it's a new name for a class that we call Contemporary Issues, but we talk about designing your professional development plans, that sort of thing. But anyway, that will be the only class you take. So you're out in the field all day, every day. You will despise coming back to class. You will think it's a total waste of time, but really it isn't, so kind of bear with us. You're gonna feel like you have so much to do because you're applying for jobs, all that sort of thing. But it really is a good class. It's a great closure. We get everyone together. You also will have a guide group meeting every other week, and that will be important as well. We do give you, for guide group, which we're calling reflective practice, one of the things that we just did last week, it was 2 weeks ago, one of the guide group meetings is alumni mentor night. So we bring in alums, we bring in school administrators, we talk about job interviewing skills, we do mock interviews, we give you questions. Here's the other thing, even though I said spring quarter, you'll be busy applying for jobs, that's true historically. Winter quarter, right now, I'm busy writing letters of recommendation. Schools are so, they're making offers right now.
People?
So just to our students, right?
How do they, with the ones the schools that they're student teaching at right now,
Yes.
they're getting offers from
Yes.
those schools? Okay.
They're half-day student teaching, they're getting job offers right now.
Some people are already teaching, right?
They are, they're teaching with restricted licenses. So, and then we kind of work through that as well. But anyway, so that's what your spring looks like, and then it's done.
Well, but there's somebody in the
And we're done though, like next May or earlier than that, June, all the way to June.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So is this helpful? So I'll tell you what I'd love to do is, holy smokes, take a break. So, do I ever plan? Oh, probably.
Do you smell it?
So let's, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes. You have to have your civil rights test before student teaching. If you go to your MAT notebook, which you probably didn't bring today, but if you did, that's pretty cool. But if not, look at it. There will be a sheet that will lay out all the tests that you have to take, but you have to have the civil rights test
Did it?
before you can even get out into the schools.
So that was the question that Sean and I were discussing in book club with Megan. And so for 2, 3, we have to take the elementary subtests 1 and 2.
Yes.
And our special
Yeah.
subject
What?
area and the civil rights.
Yes.
And that's it? Are those the 3?
We're taking an
Yes.
elementary subset?
Yeah, because
Elementary
you're
1 and
two.
2.
For your multiple subjects
Oh my
endorsement, you have to take those subtests. One is a reading, writing, what, I don't know. The other's math.
To get into the program.
Yeah.
No, that's a different one.
The umbrella.
Yeah.
So you have to take those tests, and then if you're 2, 3, you have to show your subject area competency.
Right.
And that's a separate test. So all of those should be written in your book.
They are.
You're-
And we just
there's
want to
still,
make sure that
You're gonna take another one.
elementary subtests
So
1 and 2
you
are
have taken
different from
the
tests
civil rights
that
soon?
we get into
No.
It's in the.
That is my understanding.
And
But you also have to,
That's not.
I would take those as soon as possible.
But the
I
EAP
thought
is-
that you did have to take those.
Life skills.
I think
That's
you
where the
do.
confusion
I think
is.
that is.
That's what that is.
It's a different test. 'cause I
There's a
took
different
Tests
test.
1 and 2,
Elementary and
but I also took
subsequent.
basic skills one that we took to get
And
into.
took the-
See, that's,
Some, no,
No,
well,
there's
And-
essential
academic
essential academic
Yeah.
skills.
Reading,
writing, and math.
Right.
Well, so
and
that's
then-
three.
So it's different than the entry exam.
I thought we only had to take the
You know what,
social
let me double
studies.
check before I tell you that,
I'm looking
because
at the sheet.
it's
and
whatever the sheet says.
Elementary 1, 2 is not.
Yeah, it's not on there at all. I've never even.
No, there's the Orella civil rights
You have to take that. I don't know what that is. Pull it up.
and the subject knowledge test.
Is the umbrella, is it like, is that-
It said
Yeah.
civil rights and subject knowledge.
Yeah.
You have to
Yes.
take this one.
I didn't take that.
Yeah. The subject knowledge test for endorsement areas. So elementary or elementary middle, you know, let me talk with Margaret, because that's a little confusing to me too. Let me talk to our licensure specialist. But it was my understanding that you have to take multiple subjects. For the people who are 1, 2, you have to take multiple subject tests. And if you're a 2, 3, you have to take a content-related test. But let me double check to differentiate between if some of you took that to get into the program. There were some, the wording on that sheet is a little bit confusing. I can see where that would be confusing. Anyway, I want to check with our licensure specialist because this testing thing has been a moving target too. Just look at you. You're fine now. You don't have to worry about anything. If you're all dressed up with no place to go, take the civil rights test. You have to do that. But you know you have to, if you're 2, 3, you have to take the subject area test before you can.
When do you have to have them done? That test, the subject area test?
I would get those done as soon as possible, because I'll tell you what has happened, and I can cite a specific instance. If you do not, you're thinking, no, it's not gonna be so easy, I have to pass that math test, I have to pass that math, I'm great at math. You don't pass the math test, we have to pull you out of your placement.
Oh,
So I would say, take those tests, it will be a good thing. Let's take a really quick break, because I wanna talk about grit too. But stay those questions, I will make sure that I get you something that's easier to digest.
Actually, all 1, 2, 3 have to take all of these, and then 2, 3 take.
Oh, okay. Is this on our,
This is the AIC homeroom.
okay, perfect. Okay, perfect, that's what it is then.
Okay.
It's whatever's on the homeroom site.
So that is, it's a different test.
Yeah, but is that before we start student teaching, or is that,
One is more of an exit exam.
okay?
But my advice for you is to get those tests out of the way as soon as you can.
Are you 1, 2?
Yeah.
So the test,
No,
is it
2,
similar
3.
to the test that we have to take to get into the program, or this other?
To get in the MAT, you have to take.
Yeah.
Which one is it?
But it's got what in it?
Some strategies.
Yeah,
Mm,
not a ton, but it
Yeah.
has.
1, 2, or 2,
yeah,
3?
probably about
2, 3.
reading instructions.
So it's an
Yeah,
extra
yeah,
class
yeah.
and an extra test.
Anyway, I'll get clarity, because I don't want to give you any misinformation.
She's
but if
so
that's what's on the
young,
MAT homeroom site,
I
then
remember
that's
I
it.
was like, I was-
Okay, let's take a quick break because I don't want anyone having an accident. But can we make a really quick break and then I'll let you out of here? So
Sure.
take a quick one, back in 5.
Yeah.
Can we do that? Just a quick break because I want to talk about.
Where's that underneath in the helm room?
Down.
We took this already. Yeah.
So then-
Because I'm pretty sure we talked about this multiple times and we said we only had to take
I
two
can't
tests.
remember where it is. It's on like. Not me, I already know I only.
It's on like a sheet, it's not on like, you have to click another link.
Well, it makes sense that you would have to take the
Yeah, but we
academic essential one or whatever,
Yeah, but we
and
talked about it multiple times in class and we said all we had to take was our subject area.
an exit test.
So
Yeah.
where's that?
I think, I don't know.
Homerooms. Isn't there like a
I would
test?
just look for some testing.
There is one. Test required for 1, 2, 3. Where's that? Test. Oh, do you go way down? All the way down. Way down. That's as far down as mine goes. Yours go down farther than mine.
It's possible.
Hot leads on job.
No, I think you went too far.
Oh, there you go. Touched it.
1, 2, 3 math students.
Our next class.
I didn't have to pay for my civil rights exams. That was cool.
But
Why was that again?
Why what?
Why didn't you have to pay for it?
Oh, Medford School District paid for it because I work for them right now. I didn't have to pay for my civil rights exam. That was pretty cool.
How'd you get out of there?
The school district paid for it. Medford paid for it because I worked for them. So they had a bunch of free waivers for the test, so they gave them out.
So do we have to take that NES elementary education test before we student teach, or is that before we get it? Just get them out.
Like anything.
Yeah, 'cause
Are you a two-three?
I'm a 1, 2, so we gotta take that.
I bet they will.
Actually, they.
No. I don't think you need to take that before you
I
start.
only have
Okay.
But
the.
you know what?
Two.
Get out of the way.
Oh man, there it is, right there, Susan. I said, there it is, right there.
Missy's already.
Yeah, but when we talked about it before, like we talked about only 2 tests. We said we
You know
talked
what,
about it
but let me
multiple
get
times.
clarity to make sure that that reflects, I just wanna make sure.
Well, the thing
I
is,
hope it
like,
does.
Because there's
I
been
do
so
much
little
stuff
talk
with
about that
I forgot.
series of tests. I don't
Yeah,
think we've
I
ever
think
had
it's
one.
all in your
Like
application
once, yeah.
materials
Yeah.
and then the critical information, but I just wanna make sure licensure is then a moving target.
Yeah, and I
And we
think
don't want
we've
you
all
to take
been.
anything you don't have to take, but at the same time, we wanna make sure you get everything.
I'm just gonna take every test.
Do it.
Yeah, you
No.
should, you be there for
That's a lot
like
of
the
money.
next
Get
month.
licensed. It's like that little duck game at the carnival.
Do you know that they like have like nursing tests there and
I'll just live there.
Peterson Center?
I'll just work there. Take all the tests.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know, I just
think
know,
they have
like.
tests
I'm
for,
just gonna
like,
say Medford and whatever happens, happens, but-
Like skill-based jobs.
I don't know, I can't
Oh,
really.
man.
I can't
Become
question
like
it.
a physician and everything.
You sorted it out.
Just because you take the test doesn't mean you get to teach those subjects.
Right.
Yeah.
My uncle opened up one of those testing
But it
centers.
means you,
You make so much money.
doesn't mean you will, but it means you will.
I could, like, if I took the test, I would be eligible to and passed
Be a
it.
teacher in a
I could
rural
teach
area.
it.
If you worked in a rural school,
Mm-hmm.
You wanna be a
You're
fireman, you take that test, you're a
your
fireman.
multiple subjects endorsement and have you teaching all subjects.
Yeah.
You just gonna take all the tests, John?
That's what I said. I'm just gonna take.
I'm just gonna take.
I'll apply for every single job in the state. Yeah, yeah, right. That's what I'm gonna do. I mean, not in the state, but
The state of
in
California.
no, I mean the area. I mean, I'm gonna apply to every job I qualify for in Grants Pass, Medford, Ashland. When it comes that
Yeah,
time,
like you just go to Texas right now.
I mean, I'd rather have too many
Pay me to.
out there than not enough. Rather than like putting all my eggs into one basket. That's the saying, right? I said it right this time.
That's what I did.
Because you apply for like you apply for like 2 different jobs and you don't get either of them. It's just dumb.
Problem is,
Yeah.
oh, it is.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mine living in like.
Or in
I
like,
didn't.
I lived there.
Yeah, you barely got in there, so you were.
The hottest place I've ever
That's
been.
not true.
I lived there.
I'm gonna graduate from the
I went to
MAT
school there
program.
1 year.
with honors if
out of
they give
high
them.
school, when
Will they give us
were-
for this one? Will they give honors if we have like a 4.0?
I think so, yeah.
That'd be cool to get like
Got
extra ribbon or
It's like a
something.
oven.
I know an extra ribbon.
Yeah, I'm not using all that MAT classes so far. As of hopefully we're going mostly. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe Sean, we got like.
Yeah, every time I've been here this summer, it's been at least 110. And it's hotter than that because the asphalt just radiates. It's like literally like.
That'd be cool. So are we gonna graduate with a master's plus 45? Is that what you're saying? Or 45 extra years? If you get. Because I feel like we're gonna graduate
two
by
places in
plus
California.
3.
I live.
I think we're gonna have a little bit extra.
Correct.
I don't know.
Got the best.
It's like anytime you go back and take
Coast Brewery, have you ever had their
classes,
Oh,
like
so good.
post professional development, extra education classes, you get to add that on to you.
Or I
Always
live
contact like
like,
what's the Oregon teachers TSPC.
What
Is it TSPC? They're the ones that run it?
Like past
I don't know.
Auburn,
Like the teaching
Placerville,
licenses and
with
stuff like that? They're the ones that
Trinity,
handle all that?
NES or Umbrella.
No, those are the testing.
right there in the place. There.
Is it I think it's teacher standards and practices. Yeah, TSPC.
That would be a bad place.
Kind of remote, but you get to see.
So after you like go and take classes like in the summer, or something,
My cousin lived.
you send your transcripts to TSPC. They put that onto your file,
That's really
and
nice.
then they contact your school, and it's like, okay, like basically, yeah. So, because you can get up to like some school districts, they'll pay you up to like
Ideally.
75 extra units or something, and you'll get like if you look at
Are you talking that you get
Right there on the road.
a little bit extra for every single day?
not every single credit, there's like
Right off
like yeah,
Right off the
exactly.
river.
So like go up to like
Have a
45,
line
and then
in.
you have to get up to like 70 or something.
So efficient.
So, but if you go and look at salary schedules, here I'll show you the Oregon State.
It's pretty easy that
Or
someone in your
No, I don't have the money right now.
yeah,
I was pricing it.
The only reason I like fish is because in my high school we had a budget class. You gotta make our own rods.
so
I know it is a little.
this is the latest one. Evan, have you? Yeah. So they have the school districts, and this is as
Because it's all just
2014.
set. There's no like.
Yeah, basically they do like every couple of years, they do like union, like all
Where they go on strike.
Yeah. Evan, have you seen this?
Okay. I think we have-
So this is all the school
So
districts
what
as of
would we be getting?
well, it depends on where you work. So it has like bachelor's plus master's plus 45. And some don't like yeah. So and
Just say
find Medford. It's not this one. This one. Medford. Starting with the bachelor's, 35 is a
My
master's.
homework is to follow up with Jeff
Second
just
one.
to make sure that everything that's on the MET side is correct. And if I can interpret that in a better, easier way for you, I'll make sure.
40.
Just so that everyone knows what we're taking.
It's the
Don't
second
worry,
one.
I'll take
Medford's
it.
the second one. So it
Yes.
says
Can we get an extra
bachelor's
set?
plus 45.
Sorry.
It starts at 39, 059, but then it has a master's degree. It's a $1,700
There's
stipend.
two.
So it's essentially. like
One
40.
says ed leadership and one says 10.
They need this.
Where's John Holden?
And then every year.
That's higher than any other district.
Oh, I probably didn't pass them down. So I thought they were all mine.
No, he's feeling loved totally. Do you have this too?
I got 10 concerns like
Okay,
3
10
times.
concerns.
Everyone
Okay,
should
that-
have two handouts, one
You say
is
more.
ed leadership and one is.
One for Danny.
It's pretty good.
But then like it shows you the max that you can make.
Yeah.
And then at that degree level. Here it's only 58
It's
grades.
just based on number of
Separate
years.
handouts,
And
except
it's increments because this is the degrees you get each year. That's depending on how many extra years.
And probably how many years you taught.
So, just kind of curiosity. I mean, we can even talk about the movie Crew. In your mind, without listening to anything or reading anything or scanning, what does it mean when someone was saying to you, you've got great. Here's a person who's great. Is that a good thing? Yeah. So determination, dedication, whatever it is. Pardon me?
Stick-to-itiveness.
Stick-to-itiveness.
But you
So
could still
clear.
gain,
That's a good one,
so you could
So
start
it's
at
a good
50
thing,
and then get
right?
this
To
thing.
have grit. Do you think teachers, good thing in terms of putting all those dispositions together, right? I think so. I mean, I think if someone told me that I was a gritty person, I would take that as a compliment. And maybe I would stand up for my beliefs. If I was a person with grit, I would not be namby-pamby marshmallow, not marshmallow, I don't know where that came from. But,
Wishy-washy.
wishy-washy, that's what I was going with that.
You don't.
So grit is a good thing. There has actually been a lot of research done, and I have some papers there for you. And I want to show you just a brief TED talk. This, Angela Lee Duckworth is the person who's on the TED talk, and she's actually done a ton of research. There's been new research too. And the reason I want to bring this up, and this may seem like a light, fluffy topic, but I don't really think it is. I think it speaks a lot to who we are as teachers, but also how can we help generate those sorts of dispositions in our students? And if we can, what difference does that make in that whole grit factor? You know, at any rate, I want to listen. This TED Talk is just a few minutes, and it will introduce you to grit.
This thing's jacking me up right now. I'm all hopped up about it. I'm gonna bust your ass, chick.
I can do this.
Today I threw all grandpa's woodhouse off the bridge.
We should do the green as a
Beat
seal.
your ass so bad. I'll beat your ass so bad.
Okay, we're starting with green.
Go bottom right
On the
corner.
bottom right volume thing.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Still not
A little
on.
better, but not getting
Yeah,
there.
they're up.
Should be right on the controller.
So I left the classroom and went to graduate school to become a psychologist. I started studying kids and adults in all kinds of super challenging settings. And in every study, my question was, who is successful here and why? My research team and I went to West Point Military Academy. We tried to predict which cadets would stay in military training and which would drop out. We went to tried to predict which children would advance farthest in competition. We studied rookie teachers working in really tough neighborhoods, asking which teachers are still going to be here in teaching by the end of the school year. And of those, who will be the most effective at improving learning outcomes for their students? We partnered with private companies asking which of these salespeople is going to keep their jobs? And who's going to earn the most money? In all those very different contexts, one characteristic emerged as a significant predictor of success. And it wasn't social intelligence, it wasn't good looks, physical health, and it wasn't IQ. It was grit. Grit is passion and perseverance for very long-term goals. Grit is having stamina. Grit is sticking with your future, day in, day out, not just for the week, not just for the month, but for years, and working really hard to make that future a reality. Grit is living life like it's a marathon, not a sprint. A few years ago, I started studying grit in the Chicago public schools. I asked thousands of high school juniors to take grit questionnaires, and then waited around more than a year to see who would graduate. Turns out that grittier kids were significantly more likely to graduate, even when I matched them on every characteristic I could measure. Things like family income, standardized achievement test scores, even how safe kids felt when they were at school. So it's not just at West Point or the National Spelling Bee that grit matters, it's also in school, especially for kids at risk for dropping out. To me, the most shocking thing about grit is how little we know, how little science knows about building it. Every day, parents and teachers ask me, how do I build grit in kids? What do I do to teach kids a solid work ethic? How do I keep them motivated for the long run? The honest answer is, I don't know. What I do know is that talent doesn't make you gritty. Our data show very clearly that there are many talented individuals who simply do not follow through on their commitments. In fact, in our data, grit is usually unrelated or even inversely related to measures of talent. So far, the best idea I've heard about building grit in kids is something called growth mindset. This is an idea developed at Stanford University by Carol Dweck, and it is the belief that the ability to learn is not fixed, that it can change with your effort. Dr. Dweck has shown that when kids read and learn about the brain and how it changes and grows in response to challenge, they're much more likely to persevere when they fail because they don't believe that failure is a permanent condition. So growth mindset is a great idea for building grit, but we need more. And that's where I'm going to end my remarks, because that's where we are. That's the work that stands before us. We need to take our best ideas, our strongest intuitions, and we need to test them. We need to measure whether we've been successful, and we have to be willing to fail, to be wrong, to start over again with lessons learned. In other words, we need to be gritty about getting our kids grittier. Thank you.
Angela Lee Duckworth.
So,
Duckworth? Angela Lee Duckworth.
and if you go to,
Duckworth. I don't think that's.
on our Moodle side, I have actually, because I'm going to talk about next week. So this is online on our Moodle site. If you want to listen to this again, so you can actually hear her. Here, I posted this test and talk on the site, so you can listen to it again. But there's been a lot of research done, even since she's done this. I think this was 2013. But in the last couple of years, there was a whole dedicated issue of our Educational Leadership magazine, and I have an article here from it, talking about what role do we have as teachers to teach about grit and resiliency. And what's the difference between grit and resiliency? Is there a difference? That's one of the things we want you to read about and think about for next week. And this is posted on Moodle as well. The other thing is, there's been a lot of people, and I posted two, actually I put 3 on because I couldn't control myself, but you only have to listen to 2 if you want. But there are National Public Radio, this will come right up to you, Lessons in Grit. So you can listen to the story, and the text is here too, but there's some interviews from people who are supportive of grit, and there are those people that think, really? Is this something that we're paying attention to? Does this really matter?
So I want you for your pen pals to, and for your reading response, we're thinking about grit. If you look at the 10 concern sheets, you have 2 handouts in front of you. 10 concerns about let's teach and grit fad. Also, just because I get carried away on these things, but when you read the NPR articles and there's comments that people put after the NPR posts, they're actually very revealing. People are jumping in and giving all sorts, some very supportive, some not so much, some, it lets you know who your parents, who your constituents are out there as teachers. So I find it very interesting. So what I want you to do for your pen pals this week is I want you to listen to, and I've kind of laid this out for you. I want you to maybe listen to the TED Talk again. Listen to these NPR resources. They're only 7 minutes a piece. It's not a huge time commitment. You'll kind of get it. You can get carried away if you start going to links. There's a lot of research out there. I had to control myself. But then I want you to read this article that talks about 10 different points that people are making that are kind of questioning this research. And I want you and your pen pal to decide, how do you feel about the role of grit in teaching? What I decided not to make you do, because I felt like your poverty article, I may have overwhelmed some of you last week, but there are some serious research studies done on teacher retention, which we know is a problem in the schools, and levels of grit, which I thought was interesting too, but we're not going to go there right now. So the only thing you have to do for your pen pals is read these 10 concerns, listen to a few NPR articles, and see what kind of conversation gets sparked. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Then for your reading response this week, I'd love for you to actually use this Ed Leadership article. And it's actually an interview too. It's really easy flowing. But I think there are some things, there are some quotes that you might pull out of there that are either going to make your heart go all aflutter, or you might find yourself saying, really? Or really? You know, read in whatever tone you want on that. The other thing that Angela mentioned, we're talking about first name basis, she talked about a grit scale, or that she gave students, this grit survey. And I actually found it, and I'm going to leave this with you. Every time I say, yeah, I'm going to get another here before 10:20, nothing happens. But I want to give you this grit scale. This is a 12-point scale. And you can talk about your degree of not giddiness, but grittiness, maybe with your pen pals, and see when you take this, if you feel like it's actually an indication of who you think you are as a gritty individual. Again, I think there's something to be said for perseverance, passion, true grit, both for women and men. Yes.
So when you say the reading response, do you mean the one that's due next month?
Yes.
Okay.
This is all, this is all next month's thing.
So pen pals,
Yeah.
reading.
So pen pals, you're gonna talk to pen pals.
It's right on that door.
I did.
So pen pals, y'all,
Reading.
we need to revisit a commitment to our pen pals. Like raise your right hand and say, I'm gonna email my pen pal.
No, we're
If you
good.
haven't, share the love.
We're G's.
I emailed Monica last night at 11:30.
I have one more grit. I have one more grit handout for you to share just for your files, because I found it interesting as I was doing more research on this. The 12-point grit, will you write the words adult on your 12-point yellow sheet? It's for adults. And now I'm going to hand you out a white one. And this is one that is used with children to determine grit. It's an 8-point, and you'll see there's some slight modifications. But I just thought as we transfer this to students, you might appreciate seeing the difference. I personally find it fascinating.
Seems to be fascinating. Dooba dooba. Children, 8 points.
There you go.
Children only need 8, and adults need.
So as you listened, whether you could hear her clearly or not, when you listened to Angela Duckworth, what were some of your first thoughts about this whole grit thing? What's your gut feeling? Listening to the
Just
research
a new
that's
name
done
for
that's
something.
published?
Wendy Moira Angela Dunn.
So maybe a more holistic view. The other thing is you are doing your reading. Think about what she had to say about the growth mindset. And let that kind of guide some of you. What is our role as teachers when we look at helping our students have a growth mindset? We talk about promoting lifelong learning, but that seems like a bumper sticker sometimes, right? You know, how can we really make that come alive? But I think this grit thing could be sort of a ribbon that runs through who you are as a teacher maybe, but you may feel differently after you read some of these articles. So I don't want to sway you in either direction, but I do think it's something that we, there's just so much more than the content standards. You've learned a lot about students in your human development classes and who they are as learners, but how do we really have that inner passion, that perseverance, that I love that. I can help put that up there. Which is not that we want students to self-generate. Okay, so take your grit test. You can share how gritty you are with your pen pals. Does everyone understand what they're doing there for pen pals? An article
Yeah.
from the NPR.
NPR 10 concerns,
And concerns, and you're responding to the Ed Leadership,
educational.
which is a professional journal, peer-reviewed journal, but it's not a research.
And gentlemen, I'll collect
Okay.
your reading responses for today or devoted.
Email me if you have any specific questions. I'm happy to assist you. For those of you who didn't quite get that response posted yet on Google, I've enjoyed the ones I read. For those of you that haven't, if you could kind of get that on there, that'd be awesome. Sound good?
I brought a physical
Our
copy.
reading response?
Son of a gun.
I brought a hard copy. Oh, and a hard, and actually, there's a place to post them too, but I would love, if you have a hard copy, I would love to collect them.
Yes.
You don't, if you didn't bring it today, that's fine too, but I've been trying to download them to write comments, because I don't like to write on the, internet. Do I still
Thanks,
need to
Jonathan,
post
for
it
your
too?
response.
As long as I have it, I'm fine.
We gotta finish too. We gotta finish, homie.
Oh, thank you. You can just pass them down. Thank you very much.
Oh, I'm sorry, but there seems to be no biscuits and gravy left.
And I'm sorry we didn't have time to talk about these today, but I think probably it was more important.
Biscuits and gravy.
No, it's good. And usually I have you print them so you can talk about your quotes with one another. I apologize to do that.
It was interesting though. One of the things it says that they were talking about, they think